if somebody is struggling with some of the things you talked about or some of the things I talk about, which is like continuous migraines, forgetting where you are, going on a drive and then ending up 5 counties over, all these types of things have happened to me.
So I am so familiar with that one.
Sleeplessness.
Yeah.
For me, massive anxiety, major depression, all these things that once I turned like 30, 32, 33, I was just like, man, I don't know. I can't see doing this for another like 5 years, let alone 10 or 25 or trying to have kids.
Yeah.
But I just thought that it was just a me problem. I didn't realize it was a brain problem. Is that a story that repeats itself pretty often in your practice? You meet people who are, my wife thinks I'm nuts. I don't know what's wrong with me. Something's wrong with me. Can you help me? Is that usually kind of how it goes?
Yes. I see veterans and I see civilians. What I see in the veteran population, thankfully, because there's a lot of camaraderie and there's a lot of speaking with each other, is that a buddy will tell a buddy that will tell a buddy, hey man, no, I see it. This is what's going on. And so there's a little bit more awareness, I would say, in that aspect. It can be better, but there's a problem with the acceptance part because you're, top of the top, you're very physically fit. I mean, we're that person that went and did those incredible things for your country. And so the acceptance portion of like what I see in the mirror doesn't necessarily match what I feel is there. In the civilian population, I see a lot more of the, man, I am just lost. I have a myriad of different symptoms and I just don't even know how they connect. And I keep going to X person and X person and X person, and no one can tell me how this is related, and I'm going downhill fast.
What, if you could sum it up, what's the difference between a neurologist and a functional neurologist? You wanted to be a neurologist. You go shadow these neurologists. They tell you, hey, if we could do it all differently, this is what we would have done. You kind of recoiled at that, but then rethought about it. What's the difference between the two?
So I actually love that question because that's where a lot of confusion comes in. And I feel like there's a lot of patients out there that are very upset with their neurologists, which at a point in time I say, well, you can't be upset with someone if that's not their toolbox. And that's what I said in the beginning. You have to find out what tools you want to help people with. And they have some very beneficial tools that can help at specific points in time, but you can't ask them to do something that they didn't train for a career for. And so I want to start at neurosurgeon.
Yep.
So neurosurgeon is that person that if you've had a head injury, you really want them to check out if there's a brain bleed. Is there a tumor? Is there anything in there that needs some snipping? Because let's be real, I can't Houdini some stuff in and out of that. And so we got to know, like, are we ruling out pathology, right? Yeah. So then you go to the neurologist or neurohospitalist. And so that's the doctor that's going to help a lot with medication. And so do you need medication? And the reality is that it's so individualized. Some people may need medication for a short period of time for X amount of thing. Some people may not. Some people may just be able to start nutraceutically and be able to...
What does that mean?
Supplements.
Okay.
Some people may go from a less aggressive intervention to a more aggressive intervention. And so the neurologist is going to be very good at being able to look medication-wise, maintaining medication, and even potentially doing some diagnostics for pathology.
Okay.
Now, a functional neurologist, we're not necessarily dealing with pathology. We're dealing with functions of the brain.
Define pathology for those of my viewers and listeners who aren't like totally up to...
I guess I'm thinking more like tumor, like something a little bit more, not activities of daily living. Mm-hmm. Like we're talking about maybe, and some, I know
severe, like invasive.
Something that would be a little bit more invasive. And to an extent, you can work with a functional neurologist and a neurologist side by side. It doesn't mean that you have to have either or, because if a person has MS and they have their neurologist but are still getting training with functional neurology, MS is one of those things that's considered, kind of a big deal, has a label, a diagnosis. However, you can have both practitioners help you, and it depends on your goals.
Okay.
So even a person diagnosed with a, degenerative disease such as Parkinson's can have their primary neurologist, but still be working alongside a functional neurologist to enhance their quality of life and make things better and be able to bring about neuroplasticity, right?
So flexibility. When you say neuroplasticity, you're talking about the brain's
ability to adapt.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the brain is able to adapt. And so that's where functional neurology comes in. Is I'm more interested in seeing like things that I know that your brain should do, like cranial nerve testing, for example. Do you have a gag response? Can you smile? Is everything symmetrical? How's your balance? How's your eye movements? How is your cognition? So everything that really is activity of daily living plus function based, that I'm like, I know that this system of the brain should do this. Does it do it? And does it do it efficiently and symmetrically?
Okay.
So that's now a different side that we're looking at things, because I'm trying to see what works, what doesn't, what are your goals, and how can we make that better?